Hi there, you're watching Time Warner Cable's local edition. This is the Sacramento Report. I'm Jaime Garza, joined today by Senator Alex Padilla. Always good to have you here.
Hi, good to be back.
Let's talk a little bit about crime. Crime connected to cell phones, and set this scenario up for the people who are watching now in terms of the critical role that cell phones play when they get pushed into our penal system.
And smuggled in. I mean, they're considered contraband, but we've had this growing problem of cell phones in the hands of inmates inside the prisons in the state of California. You know, I started asking questions of department officials back in 2007 when I was first elected to the Senate, and I read about how inmates in Brazil were using cell phones to not just coordinate riots simultaneously throughout prison systems in Brazil, but even more dangerous, ordering attacks against law enforcement officials in communities, in cities throughout the country. Came here asking state prison officials, are we seeing this? Is this a problem here in California? And what are we doing to monitor it? So that year they started searching prisons for cell phones and started keeping numbers on what they were finding. 2006, 261 cell phones confiscated. 2007, 8, 9, in 2010, 10,000 confiscated. So we know the problem is growing, and it's growing exponentially.
How are they getting in there, though? I mean, if we've got layers of security, how are these cell phones infiltrating and getting behind those prison walls?
Well, that's certainly part of the problem. You know, how are they getting in? Is it one, two at a time, maybe a visitor that's sneaking it in? Is it part of an organized crime or black market, if you will, for cell phones coming into prisons? It's probably a combination of both. And from what we've caught, the people that we've caught bringing the cell phones in, it is everything from a couple here and there, somebody just trying to help the inmate on the inside versus corrections employees bring them in by the duffel bag because they can go for $1,000, $2,000 or more on this black market. So I've introduced bills over the last couple of sessions, and I think with this new governor and his appreciation for the issue as a former attorney general, we have the stars aligned to bring about penalties and consequences for inmates who are caught with cell phones in our prisons today, because today there are no stiff penalties if you're caught. Stiff penalties for smugglers, the people who bring the cell phones in unlawfully, because today there really is no penalties or consequences for people who try to do that. But we also know we need to stiffen the screening process at all the institutions in the state of California. Make sure that people are going through a search process. Metal detectors at some point when the state budget turns around, we're able to afford that type of upgrade. But in the meantime, just consequences for the inmates and the smugglers, I think, can really deter the smuggling and importation of the cell phones.
Something I found very interesting, and maybe it'll be interesting to the people at home here, is there's certain things that get mailed into the prison system, like a Quran or the Bible, and I've seen where they cut out the pages and put a cell phone in the middle, and some of those things you're not allowed by law to search, so they're getting in. And I think the point here is that the cell phones get in, and that continues crime outside. You talked about Brazil a little bit, but we're seeing that on the streets of Los Angeles as well.
Right, and that's the big concern here. It's not just about whether it's more dangerous or not as dangerous inside the prison walls. We're talking about the public safety communities throughout the state. We don't just suspect what cell phones could be used for. We know they're being used for criminal enterprise, for ordering hits, for drug trafficking, for intimidation of witnesses before trials, to plan escapes from prison. So the way I see it, every cell phone that we can prevent falling into the hands of a dangerous inmate is a crime that we're actually preventing. So it's a public safety measure, and it's a cost-saving measure at the same time.
You could almost see a cell phone like a weapon, period, for these folks.
Exactly.
Senator Alex Padilla, thank you very much, and thank you at home for watching Time Warner Cable's local edition, the Sacramento Report. And don't forget, you can always watch this interview and others by going to My Government on Demand.